Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Um, it's a little, well, I guess it's mid-morning for me. It's not too early, but I feel a little heavy today, which is why I got one of my special mugs Maurice got for me. I don't know if you can read that. Sip until you feel human. Some mornings are like that. Well, I hope everyone had a nice Memorial Day. I was very fortunate. My company, they had an unplugged day on Friday. It's the first one we've had in the quarantine, which was interesting, but gave us a nice little 4-day weekend. And me, Maurice, and a couple of our friends, we went up to rent a cabin. We got out of the city to go into nature, to kind of get away from this place we've been dwelling in for for months, or what now feels like years. And it was a really nice escape. But I wanted to talk to you guys because during that trip, we were able to express ourselves with other people in a way that I don't think we had anticipated. I think we had anticipated that trip being, and we prepared for it. Like, let's bring a bunch of board games. Let's bring our Xbox, bring movies, eat, hang out, and to be sure, like, we did a lot of that. But I would say we spent 80% of our time together really just processing what we've all been going through and feeling. And as we were doing it, and just like free to talk and verbalize this heaviness, and it felt physical. You could just feel in the air, like inside the cabin. After we would talk about stuff that's going on with us during this quarantine, some heavy pain, suffering, what's going on inside of us, our own traumas, and so when that would happen, we'd then go outside and we'd have fun, we'd process, and we're like, oh, we need to go back inside. And it was an interesting experience because it was one of the first moments where I really felt like, ooh, pain has a physicality to it. It actually has an energy and an essence to it. And it was very felt and it was very real. But we all reflected on the fact that we don't really have, not necessarily that we don't have the opportunity, we don't feel like we can share our pain with other people in a continuous way. It almost feels like a burden. And kind of for that, what I want to say is, this whole quarantine period, I've been suffering from, this has probably been the biggest tax on my mental health in my whole life. And a lot of it has to do with handling and managing my grief. Myself, my family, we lost my mother to cancer 2 years ago, and she passed away in the spring. So April, May are always really tough months for us, especially for me. But over the last couple of years, we've been able to get together. I get to go back up to Connecticut, see my siblings, see my dad, see my grandmother, and just being together really helps. And not having that option this year, I didn't realize how much of a toll that had on me. And luckily, I've been talking with a therapist on BetterHelp for the last couple months, and it's been really great. One of our friends on the camping trip, he's a social worker, he's a therapist, and for those of us who've had the opportunity to more readily verbalize what's going on inside of us and identify, ooh, this is what I'm missing about this person in my particular case, or being in quarantine and isolation makes me feel vulnerable or alone, or concerned or scared about the future, whatever it is, and how deep that goes, however deep that's the thought narrative goes, that needs expression. And if you're someone who journals, who really takes the time to think about what's going on inside you, that's great. If you're someone who has a friend who you can just vent and talk to on a regular basis, I think that's great. There's a depth, though, to talking about pain that I think in our generation we're fairly stigmatized by. There's kind of a shame in talking about pain, and it's not even that someone is shaming us. We feel it. If we're self-censoring how we talk about it with other people, and I found myself doing that over the weekend, and we had to continuously give each other permission to say that it's okay to feel a certain way, that it's okay to feel sad, that it's okay to feel angry, that you need to explore the granularity, the very core of these feelings, of these pain points. And my partner, Maurice, I think he does a really good job of that. Has had a very, very tough life, but it really doesn't keep him down. And when we were talking as a group, I said to him, you wear your pain really well. You wear your pain. And in some ways, that's what I think we all need to be doing. Have the humility and the vulnerability, as scary as it is, and it is a scary feeling. It feels like you're gonna skydive because you're opening yourself up to the world, your weakest, what seems like your weakest and most shameful part of yourself, but it's not. It's who you are. It is a part of yourself. So when we wear it, when we talk about it, when we're not afraid to tell other people our story, it becomes our power. We're no longer subconsciously identified with that pain, and it no longer drives us to do things that we don't like. It no longer is something to be afraid of, or that shames us into self-censorship, or shames us into not talking about or giving expression to our feelings. And when we wear it and when we tell our story, it becomes part of us. And not in a way that we become victims or have that mentality or that identity of, I'm only pain or I'm only my suffering, because we know that's not true. But it no longer becomes the heavy part of us. It lets go. By wearing our pain, by talking about it, by giving it regular expression, we let go of its weight on us. It no longer bears. And that was a release that I felt this weekend really lift. Not just the individual stories about what's going on in my life, but the shame around telling those stories or thinking that it's somehow shameful to do so. And I know our generation has, society makes it hard. How we've grown up, our teachers, our parents, our coaches, our mentors, it's all about being strong, being brave, and those are important qualities. But there's nothing weak about sharing why you're upset or sad or suffering. It's actually one of the most courageous things you can do. And I've realized, and when I do this at work, when I honestly talk about how I'm feeling, and do so with the compassion of others in mind, but I don't know where this story is gonna go, but I need to tell you this because I know I'm not doing service to this relationship if I don't express myself. Once I've started doing that, all of my relationships change. People have become much more genuine. We talk more honestly. Our professional and personal lives start to have integrated in ways that have just made work-life balance so much easier to process and talk about. So I say all of this is for us, no longer should we be scared of sharing and verbalizing our deepest, darkest places, of where our mind goes, where our feeling goes. You don't have to share it publicly, but have someone. And have someone or several people who you can talk to regularly about how you're feeling. Let that weight lift off. Create space. Be open. And by doing that, we give permission to others to share their pain, and we no longer shame each other or feel like it's a bad thing to do that. So I want to leave you there. Have a wonderful week. Find someone to talk to. Give your feelings expression. I promise you, you will feel lighter. You will feel better, and in the process, you'll change your community and your society. So if we want to change our world, we have to change ourselves. Have a great morning. Talk to you soon.